Several years ago, I was leading a team which was developing an e-commerce mobile application. And at some point, we had to add the notification functionality, those toasts appearing in the app. And I asked one of my engineers, Tom, to develop it. I expected it to be ready in a couple of days. But after 2 weeks, the functionality still wasn't ready. Later, I discovered that Tom was neither willing to do the task properly, nor has the skills to do so. And that was a delegation error. Continue watching to know how to avoid such mistakes. Hello, my name is Vladimir Ivanov. I'm a senior engineering manager with an experience of leading different teams of different sizes, from really small ones with just a couple of engineers to large departments of 50 people. Today I'm gonna tell you how to delegate the tasks properly, how to understand if you're picking the right person for the job, and how to control the results. But before we start, let's figure out why we need delegation in the first place. You can be a great professional by yourself, handling the task of any complexity in your particular project. However, you can't do everything by yourself. It takes too much time. Also, people on your team want to grow as well, and the way they do that is that they handle the task of bigger complexity and larger impact. That's why you need to delegate some of the tasks. Of course, you can be afraid that those people won't do the tasks with the same level of quality as you would do, but fear no more. And we're starting with motivation. So for different people, we have different motivation factors. So somebody is really motivated by the achievement, feeling that they did something big. For another people, they really want to get some compensation for that, like salary increase or on a yearly bonus or something like that. Other people just enjoy working in a particular team. And others strive when they need to work on a really complex task. This type of motivation is called intellectual. Of course, the majority of people have a couple of dominating motivational factors, but you will rarely find a person with 3 or more. 10 years ago, I was working for a cybersecurity company, and I was delegated with the task of developing a cross-platform security framework for Android, iOS, Windows Phone, and Windows Desktop. Yes, I am that old. I spent more than half a year with that task and made very little progress. Eventually, I burned out and left the company. So right now I understand that was a delegation mistake by my manager, and the primary problem was the motivational type. Imagine you got a complex, challenging task to solve. Let's say designing a software system with multiple hard constraints and limited budget. For example, a cost-efficient way to analyze the documents using machine learning. The person with the dominating type of the achievement would probably not be the best choice, because those people typically focus on the hard work rather than a breakthrough. Instead, you need a person with a dominant so-called intellectual type, the person who really enjoys solving complex tasks. And that's not me by any stretch of the imagination. But even if you pick a person with the proper motivation type, this person can simply do not want to do the task. There are several reasons for that. For example, the task can be too big and it is not very clear how to start with it. Another thing is that task won't bring any new knowledge, because the employee did the same task several times already. Or the task may be simply boring. What I'm trying to say here is that motivation plays a crucial role in delegation. Depending on how do you manage that, you will either get a great result or you will face a disaster that you're gonna regret until the end of your life. Okay, imagine you find out the person who has the proper motivation type and ensure that the person is really willing to work on a task. Now we need to understand if the person has the capability or skills to accomplish the task properly. For example, if we have a senior engineer who joined the company like several years ago, and we need him or her to create a new API endpoint for us. So the chances are that this particular person will be able to do so perfectly fine, because this is a typical task, and chances are the person was already doing that several times during his time at the company. In contrary, if we have a junior engineer who just joined the company, he or she will probably not know how to do that, because they don't know the internal framework, and chances are they haven't ever did it in their career. So basically you can be in a situation when you have the appropriate amount of skills and when there's a lack of those skills. If we combine the motivation and capability, we will have a nice matrix, where on the one axis we will have skills and on the other axis we will have motivation. And this brings us to a motivational quadrant, where we have people with different combination of those axes. For example, we have a person with no skills and no motivation to do the task. Now we understand if we can delegate the task to a person. But what should we do in order to control the result? How do we make sure that the task will be resolved properly? And here what you do is applying different control measures to the people in different motivational quadrants. Of course, you need to control the results, but depending where the person is in those quadrants, you apply different control measures. So let's consider every quadrant separately. And the first one that we have is no skills and no motivation. So with this kind of situation, you're not delegating at all. It's like just impossible. Don't do that. Full stop. Another situation is when you have a person with a proper skill set, but very little motivation to do the job. And if you still want to delegate the task to him or her, what you need to do is to inspire this person. The way you do that, you explain why this is important to the company and to the team. Second, you can focus their attention on how the task will be beneficial for their own development. Or you can just say that they are the best person to do the task. So your job in this situation is to inspire the person to do this particular job. The control measures that you apply in the case of high skill but no motivation are periodic synchronization meetings every second day to make sure that the person is still motivated, engaged in the task, and actually still want to accomplish it. The next situation we have is high skill and high motivation. Here you just need to explain what should be the result and basically let the person do the job. The person is highly motivated to do the job, they have all the skills, and the only thing that you need to ensure is that there are no obstacles to achieving the task. So maybe once in a while you just check up if the task is being in progress, and that's it. Of course, you apply some control measures at the end to check if the whole scope was really achieved and with the appropriate amount of quality. But basically you apply very little control in this situation. And the last situation that we have is low skill but high motivation. This is a typical situation for junior and middle developers when they're trying to work on something new. What you do here, first of all, you try to teach them in advance. You're not just letting them do whatever they would find useful, but you explain how you would approach this task, what is the basic plan, and what steps should be taken in order to accomplish the job. Of course, this conversation happens when you're trying to delegate the task in the first place. So basically you explain what should the result look like, then you can ask like, what do you think how it's gonna be done? And then you correct this behavior and provide a more detailed plan on how the job should be done. For example, again, if we're delegating a creation of a new endpoint to a junior developer, we need to tell them that, hey, first of all, you need to declare the endpoint, then to write some tests, then to implement some business logic, and then do some configuration changes and maybe apply some config changes at firewall level. So once they have the plan, they can start working on the task, but then every day you will have a synchronization meeting to see if the task is in progress actually, if there are any blockers, and if you can be of any help to the person that is doing the job. Of course, the last point of control is when the task is kinda done and you again check that the whole scope was completed and you have a conversation what the person actually learned during working on this task. And basically that's it. Apply those simple rules, find the person with the most suitable motivation for the task, teach them if it is required, apply proper control measures, and don't be afraid of delegating anything in your future career. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to subscribe down below to the channel in order not to miss new videos on it. I would also appreciate your support that you can make at Patreon or Boosty, and that will really help to run the channel. Patrons and Boosty subscribers get the early access to all the content that I'm making, and you will also get your name in this list of supporters, and you will also be able to join the architecture community where we discuss what's happening in the industry and solving some architectural puzzles. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.